Okay, we are online.
Okay.
And I will start us off. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first LingQ Gathering of the quarter. And we hope that you guys have been going strong with all of your language learning goals so far this year. We wanted to cover a really important topic in today's live stream, which is where to find good content, because we know that if you guys have content that you're really interested in and you're eager to come back to every single day, then language learning is always enjoyable. So we have a lot of really good tips for you guys today, resources, websites, etc. And so I'm joined by Mark up in Vancouver, BC. And we will also have Eric from our marketing team joining us as well. He's very excited to show you guys some resources. And I'm Shelby, head of learner success at LingQ. Hey, Mark, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Shelby, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks. Excited to be here.
I know you're
very excited.
Yeah. No, I'll keep going. I'm a bit distracted because I'm trying to hook up our mobile app in preparation.
Okay. I'll let you keep doing that for a minute. And for everyone who's joining us on YouTube, go ahead and say chat, say where you're streaming from. We've got someone from Germany, Tobias. Hello. I'm actually in a new location today. It seems like I'm always in a new location every time we do one of these. I'm on the island of Curacao now, which is in the Caribbean. So do we have anyone from Curacao today? I'm reading your guys' chat. So say hello. Hi, Eric. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks.
Doing great.
Good.
And you're still in Vancouver, BC. It looks like that's a closet of yours that I recognize.
Yeah. There you go.
Famous closet.
My famous closet.
Awesome. So we kind of already went over what we're talking about today. We're helping you guys with content to import. As long as you guys have that content in front of you, you're always going to be excited about what you're learning. And language learning is just going to happen naturally. It's actually a huge breakthrough that I learned about when joining the LingQ team about a year ago. So very excited. I'm going to be taking your guys' questions over here on this other screen. So when I'm looking this way, just know I'm paying attention to you guys. And in the meantime, I know that Eric has some great tips and resources that he's eager to share. So Eric, I'll let you get started on those points. And meanwhile, we'll be monitoring the chat. Take it away, Eric.
All right. So as some of you probably know, I'm learning Japanese. So this will be a bit geared towards Japanese, but this applies to a lot of the resources I mentioned apply to all kinds of languages, because some of the resources I use aren't just Japanese. They have Korean and Chinese as well. So let me just go through my screen here. 1 second. I guess I should share my screen if I can, or what would be, let me share my screen actually. It's always better. Okay, so I guess you can see my screen now, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'll go to my lesson tab, and I'm just going to quickly go over just the kind of content that I'm using and resources that I use and importing and whatnot. So just need it to load. But one of the big things I've been using lately is are light novels, which you can find. I mean, Reddit is a great resource. I don't know why my Link's not loading right now, but Reddit is, here, let me just quickly do that then. So what I would do is you can go to Reddit, for example, Reddit Japanese, Reddit Spanish, Reddit German. There's all kinds of subreddits for your language. So in my case, I'll go to Learn Japanese. And usually what these subreddits have, they have, besides a lot of the posts that talk about content, if you look on the sidebar, you'll see a pinned or a sticky kind of thread. For example, like here, beginner students, questions and things like that. And then they'll also share content. So you can actually filter, you can look through resources and things like that. So that's what I recommend for everyone who's looking for content, is to check Reddit. Reddit has been probably the best resource because you have tons of people learning the same language as you, and they're all going to share a lot of content. And if you have problems finding content, you can always just go to the Reddit search bar and type in what you're looking for. Let's say if I was interested in anime, I could just type in anime like this, and I would show results in Japanese. And then you can see like people's opinions on anime, for example, or people's where they're watching anime without subs, with subs, things like that. So my first go-to resource for anyone learning a language would be Reddit. Just Google Reddit and the name of and your target language. And yeah, just start digging and you'll find a lot of great stuff. So let me go back here. Okay, so this is my course. This is the course view. So let me go back to, well, course view is actually easier to see. So yeah, I've been learning Japanese for 2 years now. You can see all my link stats right here. I zoom in. Those are 13,000 words. I got a lot of coins. But yeah, reading a lot. So one of the things I started doing this year was I shifted from kind of the light beginner stuff like NHK Easy News to light novels. So in Japanese, if you're studying Japanese, light novels there's tons of them. And I've been importing them into LingQ, and you can find you can buy them online. You can go to resources like, like I said, if you go to Reddit and you type in light novels in your target language, you'll find a bunch of resources. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Quick question about that. So do you actually enter that Google search in English, or do you enter the Google search in Japanese, for instance?
Oh, it's always in English most of the time. And the reason for that is because I don't really have content in mind. Like, I don't know what I'm searching for. I'm just going to search in English. I don't have a specific title, but if I did, I would probably search it in Japanese. But then again, to be honest, I think it's better in English. And the reason for that is because if you search it in Japanese or in your target language, it'll probably show some results. Well, it depends, but English is easier because I'm going to get answers from people studying Japanese, like Japanese learners. So it just makes more sense that way.
Maybe it kind of depends on what level you're at in the, you know, are you beginner, intermediate, advanced? Because I found, at least for French and Spanish, that it was really useful to conduct the search in that language, because I would get more results. Because again, for those that might not fully understand, or just a reminder, we're looking for native content. Eric is looking for books in Japanese, of course, so that he can study them in the LingQ Reader. And yeah, I found that it was hard for me to find like good French content if I didn't actually conduct the search in French. Of course, that's going to require some like simple Google Translate, but say I'm looking for like popular music videos 2021, I would just enter that in English into Google Translate, you know, popular French music videos 2021, take the French translation of that, and then enter that as a Google search. But maybe that doesn't work so well for all languages. So just wanted to share.
That's a good point. Yeah. In my case, yeah, it's usually just English, but definitely I could search in in Japanese. And as you said, yeah, everything is in, like, when we talk about importing content, going through content, it's 100% in the target language. So as you can see here, this is a novel I'm reading. And as it opens up, the entire novel is in Japanese. So yeah, just going through that. So light novels have been probably I would say my favorite resource so far this year. And the reason for that, I mean, compared to textbooks, the way it's written is completely different. Because it's written as, in the most part, it's written how people speak, because you're getting dialogue and things like that, more so than textbooks for the classroom. So it's a lot more natural, in my opinion. Obviously, it's a little bit more difficult too, because you're going to come across things that are written maybe in kind of a slangish way. So, but it helps you with learning the language more naturally. So light novels, yeah.
So good question. And is that what you mean by light novels?
Yeah, light novels, I don't know the definitive definition of what they are. Like, I guess they're just short novels, because these are quite long when I'm reading, but they're classified, when I look them up, as light novels. So I don't know why, but I guess if they're not too long, I don't know the reason why they're called, like the definition of them, but when I search on Reddit, a lot of people recommend light novels. So I guess it's they're not too difficult in that sense, because light novels, I feel, are also geared towards high school students more so when I'm reading them. So.
And then along this note, Luca had a question for us in the chat, and maybe you were going to get here later, but he asked if there are any tips on finding audio content to go along with the text content.
Okay, so yeah, so that's where I would say podcasts and YouTube come in. I'll quickly go over podcasts and YouTube right now. So this right here is a podcast. And I found this on Reddit, and this particular podcast comes with transcripts. So what I do is I imported everything into link that I could find with this podcast. Some episodes come with transcripts, some don't. I only imported the episodes, obviously, that come with transcripts, because you need transcripts for link, you need the text. So what I did is I would go to the site. I'll just quickly show you how I did this, because when you import something like this and you want the audio and the text, you have to manually import the audio, because the audio is usually on a separate page. Now, what I would do is I would go to the website, I would click on the extension. I should be using Chrome, but I'm using Microsoft Edge, but you have the link extension. You click it, and then you can import the text. And then what you could do is you can also manually, let me just move the screen here. So you have here what's called import lesson, and this lets you manually import a lesson. So you can always copy the text and put it in here. Like, you can just put it in here, the title. But then you also have upload audio. So what I would do after I imported the text, I would just upload the audio and then save it and open the lesson. The easiest way to import audio, though, in my opinion, is using the extension and going on YouTube. So if for those who are watching who aren't aware, you can go to YouTube and you can use the link extension, and it will import both the audio and the closed captionings all at once. So you don't have to do any manual importing. I'm going to show you an example of a course that I have like that. So just waiting for it to load, but that's probably the easiest way to get audio. You just have to make sure that the YouTube video has closed captionings, and I recommend YouTube videos that you import have manual closed captionings, not auto-generated. Let me just quickly figure out where I can find an example of what I imported from YouTube. But yeah, once again, what I'm saying is there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube that I made. You just type in link YouTube tutorial and you'll find how to do it. Gotta find, let me just quickly here. Okay, so all this is like a lot of, as you can see, everything I've imported from all kinds of content. Okay, here's an example. So these are music videos from YouTube, and Link imported the audio and the transcript, or the lyrics, I guess, the closed captionings. And you can see here, this is the video itself. Let me just do full text. Let's go here. And I can just go through the lyrics, and I can, on my phone, I can listen to the audio, or I can listen to it on my, sorry, there's some construction outside, but I can play it on my desktop as well and go through the lyrics one by one. Hopefully that's not too loud. I don't know how loud that is, but yeah, YouTube for audio, for sure, is the best way to do it. I'm gonna mute myself just right now, just in case.
Yeah, we can't hear it at all. Don't worry.
Okay, never mind. Okay.
So did you want to keep going with your tips, or I can take a look and see what other questions we have now?
Oh, I'll just quickly go over one thing that I created this resource page. So anyone learning Japanese, I'll send this to you, Shelby, and maybe you can share it on in the chat. I don't know if you can, but this page is just a bunch of resources that I've used to learn Japanese. All this content, as you can see here, I've created a little table. This comes with audio and transcripts. So for you're looking for audio and you're studying Japanese and you want transcripts and audio, check out this page, and you can import all this stuff into Link like I have. Okay. I'll send you the link and you can share it on YouTube.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, a lot of the questions that we've gotten in the last few minutes are, simply people struggling to find the audio content. Of course, it needs to be accompanied by text, but that's what people are looking for is audio. And we've got some more questions in here that I'll be sorting through. So I'll share this resource with the group. And someone asked you, Eric, have you traveled to Japan before, or are you just planning to?
Yeah, I have. I actually lived in Japan, and I never studied Japanese. So I did live in Japan. I fell into the foreign bubble. Couldn't say my name. Well, I could say my name in Japanese, order maybe food, but yeah, it's funny. It's ironic how I started learning Japanese when I came back from Japan. And yeah, I'd like to visit Japan again. So just building up my vocabulary until then. I've been to Japan a few times actually, so. But I have never been in Japan being able to speak Japanese. So that's what I'm looking forward to actually.
Yeah, that'll be a whole different level. Now, someone is asking about finding like full length books. For example, international bestsellers that have been translated into Japanese. Do you have any additional tips for someone looking for this? Bestsellers.
Yeah, that would be. I would say Reddit is still the best, but you can also, yeah, Reddit or international bestsellers like Harry Potter and whatnot. I guess things like that in Japanese. I would search. Like, I'm just trying to think, because I personally haven't imported that kind of content, but I would try Reddit, search for the title, and then search the title and then search Japanese translation, and then see if people have recommended links that they could share, that they've shared. You'll find it, if it's a popular book and there's a translation available, most likely you'll be able to find it online in like a text format, or whatnot. If you have a Kindle, you can do that, and then or EPUB or ebook. Importing into Link.
You mean a transcription available. You don't mean a translation available.
Oh yeah, sorry, a transcript available. Yeah, and if it's an EPUB or an ebook, you can put it into Link. Depending on, I guess, yeah, you have to do a few things to import EPUB and ebooks into Link, because Kindle has some sort of, I guess, lock on the file depending on what you're downloading. So, but there are ways some users have been able to figure that out. And to figure that out, I would search on Google Link EPUB, unless Mark has another opinion about that. I don't know. I've never done it myself, but I know some users have, and some users have recommended tips on doing that if case.
Yeah, it's I have definitely done it. I bought a bunch of ebooks in Italian, and the issue is that wherever you buy your ebooks, typically they're protected files, so that you have to remove the DRM first before you can import them into Link. And you can basically, you have to Google search and try and figure out how to remove the protection. Once the DRM has been removed, then it's easy to import into Link. And with Italian, it was relatively easy to do, but Japanese is very much not that way. So I think it does depend on the language, but I think most common languages, it's relatively straightforward, but Google is your friend there in terms of removing the protection. And I mean, I don't know what's legal and not legal. I feel like if I've paid for the book, then I'm fine removing the DRM and importing it into the reader that I actually want to read it in, versus reading it in the reader of the ebook provider.
Yeah, and make a great point, Mark. Google is your friend. It was the same point that Eric opened up with when he's talking about using Reddit. He's talking about using it as an index. Go to the places where people are discussing, websites and books and certain resources in your target language. Chances are that you guys aren't the only people looking for the kind of content that you're looking for. So you do have to be, persistent and really do some research. Like you're not always gonna easily land on the exact resource that you are looking for on your first try. But if you keep digging and trying creative things, usually you will eventually land on a gold mine. And it's not just gonna be one resource, but you're gonna find whether it's a website or a certain forum where you can keep going back to and getting more resources. And I just wanted to note, some of you guys are talking about specific languages in the chat, such as Romanian, Arabic. Steve and I have done some live streams on his channel about Arabic. And when it comes to specific languages that we're not covering here, all of these concepts apply to all languages. It's just that, the exact website Eric shares might not have content in your target language, but try to pick up on the concepts that we're sharing here in terms of the resourcefulness that one needs to employ to find good content. So Eric, did you want to keep going with your presentation, or should we switch over to Mark?
I can quickly say something too about other content. If you go to the site called zero2hero.ca, it's a great site because it lists YouTube videos in all languages, and they list videos that have manual closed captioning. So you can import all those into Link. They have all kinds of languages. So Romanian, they might have Romanian. They have French, German, Spanish, Japanese, Chinese, all kinds of stuff. So that is a great resource. Also, if you go onto the Link forum and you look at the top thread, the sticky thread that lists resources, that talks about resources, there is a sheet that just has a bunch of resources our users have shared, links and stuff in all kinds of languages. So check that. It will be on the Link forum, the top of the forum, on one of the sticky posts.
And I also, in the chat, shared tips on finding content to import in your target language. This is a comprehensive article in our knowledge base, and it does also include the spreadsheet that Eric is talking about. So a few different places for you guys to find these resources. All right, I'm going to go back into the questions. We do have some users who want us to show how to import. We have, of course, gone over importing in previous live streams. If you guys want to go back to some of our older gatherings posted on this channel, on the LingQ YouTube channel. And I know Mark was going to see if he could get his phone connected so he could show you guys some stuff on mobile. Were we able to make that, Mark?
I think Eric showed some ways to find resources, so maybe I'll do what that user was asking and show some examples of actually importing, so you can see how it's done both on web and on mobile. Maybe I will start with the web. Oops. Start by sharing my screen.
Bloody clones, and he's a brother.
And
Netflix going in the background.
So keep in mind, Mark, when you're showing us some import stuff, we do have a couple users asking about the Resplit Text option in the importer, and not really sure what that means. If you could touch on that.
Okay, well, let's hold that one. We'll get to it. But can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
So the first thing I wanted to show was importing from Netflix. I'm in Netflix here now, looking at my homepage. I found what I believe to be a French show here. If I click through to it. The first thing I want to make sure of is that the subtitles are available in French, which they are, at which point I can go to my link extension, get a bit of musical background while we're at it. For some reason, French isn't given to me as an option here. I don't know why that is, but probably because I'm doing a demo. That's strange.
In the meantime, I'm also trying to answer some of your guys' questions directly in the chat. That was going to be able to.
Let's maybe try a different show then. What I should be able to see is choose French as an option, and then import with our extension. Now I'm going to try and find a different foreign show.
Yeah, and so for those who kind of missed what just happened, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that the link importer works in the ways. So you have a kind of like a manual import directly on the website itself. So, and on the mobile apps too. So if you're on the website, you click the icon in the top right corner, and you have a few different options for what you can import. This is also where you can import an ebook, which some of you guys were asking about. But we also have the browser extension. So Mark has the browser extension installed on his internet browser. And so he just goes directly to Netflix, directly to YouTube. He could go directly to different websites where he reads articles as well. And we're just gonna use that import extension directly from that website.
So here's an example of a Spanish movie. Spanish captions are available. I've selected them. I don't actually need to select them, but they're available. I now have the link you'll see at the top here in my navigation bar. I've got the link extension installed. If I click on the extension, choose to import it into my Spanish account, it's going to grab the title automatically. If I want to, I can go into my link account and create a course for this. Create a course for this show. if not, it'll put it in my quick imports. Oops, that's a bit annoying.
So just to go over the steps that Mark has done so far, find the show to import, make sure the subtitles are on. And now he's importing with the browser extension. And
then if I click from here, click to open that lesson, I'll be taken to the link and I'll see that show is
the whole transcript
has been imported. Here's the transcript of the show. For Netflix, we can't obviously grab the video or the audio. That I don't think Netflix would be too keen on that. But if I were importing a YouTube video, I would do it the same way. And in that case, we would actually grab the YouTube video and the audio of that YouTube video into LingQ, which is extremely helpful because it allows you to then go away later and listen to that audio after you've gone through it and looked up words. So I think that kind of gives you the sense of importing on the web using the extension. That extension will work, like I said, obviously on Netflix, on YouTube. It'll work on any news sites. If you go to, if you're learning Spanish, you can go to El País, which is a Spanish news site, or pretty much any Spanish news site. Find an article that you're interested in, use that extension to import it into LingQ. I won't show you that because it's the same process we just saw. At this point, why don't I switch over to the mobile app just to give you a sense of how things work there. And I guess let me start using the app. And one thing worth showing, and now I'm in Italian on the app. I have a bunch of different categories showing, but one of the categories that everybody sees is this news to import category, which pulls in news articles from a variety of news sources in this language. So here we have different Italian newspapers. And then, so obviously I can scroll through and find something that I'm interested in. If we just take the first one as an example, on the app, if I open it, it'll take me to that article in that news site. And then at the top right, if I want to import this, I click that or tap that import option, which then imports that lesson into LingQ for me to study. So that's another great way to import, and something that you should all get used to using. I find it very helpful. And on the web, the same functionality exists. There's a shelf or an option in the library to see news articles. I can't remember what it's called right now. News feed, I think. And actually, news articles are mixed into your lesson feed. And if you tap on one of those, you'll see that you go to that site. And then from there, if you're on the web, you have to use the import extension to import. I think it'll actually happen in the background.
Yeah, when you're in our feed looking at the LingQ library, you're going to see two different buttons. There's either an open button next to each lesson or an import button. And if it says import, that's just what Mark was just explaining. It's some content from another website that hasn't yet been imported into LingQ. Click that button and it will import it as a lesson for you. Some of our users on the chat were saying that that's all they use and they love it. Great.
Another thing worth at least being aware of, first off, or you can see that here in my Spanish recent lessons, that Spanish Netflix video that I imported is showing up here. So I can, once I've imported it in one platform, I can study it obviously on either. Should be clear, but just want to make that clear. And then the last thing I wanted to show in terms of importing was that if you are on mobile, you can also import using the extension. So I'll go to an Italian news site here. Whoops, I don't know what I did there. Find a site that you like, choose an article that you like, something about Magellan. Didn't really circumnavigate the globe. If I want to import this, I tap on the share option. And then here in the share options, I can find the link extension. If you don't find it here in the list, tap the more options button to find it and add it. But I obviously have it here. And then if I tap on it, I get different options. So I want to import this into Italian. I do have a course for Il Post. Seems very slow right now. Well, maybe I don't know what's going on there, but I can just add it to quick imports.
Sharing our screens on Zoom tends to make whatever we're doing slower.
Mm-hmm.
While that's importing, we had another question from a user asking, is there a way to add an external translation to a lesson? So say you were showing, importing, this wouldn't necessarily apply to Netflix, although it could. Say a YouTube video that you're importing, you're going to be importing, of course, the closed captioning from that YouTube video. But if you wanted to add a different translation, could you, if we have time, could you show users how they could do that?
Sure. I don't know why this is hung up. Seems very strange. Something's wrong with I guess it's just the internet connection is obviously busy right now with my sharing my screen and whatever.
Yeah.
But fundamentally that'll import just like anything else. Now I guess it's just hung up. I'm going to stop. Oh, import failed. And yeah, so I guess it's just too much.
It kind of
too much to share, but that's okay. I'll go back to the web now, and
either way, that is something that a lot of our users aren't aware of, that we do have the manual and the browser extension imports available on mobile, and those imported lessons are going to be available across all of your devices too.
So really, your question, Shelby, you asked if I imported something and imported the captions, if I have a translation, how do I add it as well? So here's an example of that Netflix show I just imported. I can edit that lesson. Once I'm here, if I go to resources, here I can choose translations from the list of resources. If it happens to be a Czech translation, I could paste the Czech translation here. I can change the language so that I know it's a Dutch translation. Only thing to remember is that I still do need to go back here to the main screen and save it. Otherwise it won't be saved. That's essentially how you would do that. There are some other options here, but for the most part, it's translations that would be the most useful resources that you can add. So that would make that translation appear in the sidebar when you click the Show Translations option. There is a Clips tab, but the clips, which allows you to enter a sentence by sentence translation, it is a fair bit of work to put it in and does require there to be audio as well. In this case, I don't have audio, so it really won't work. So hopefully that answers that question. The other user who had asked about the Resplit Text option, the text is split based on punctuation mostly. But sometimes lessons get garbled, especially if it's more for sort of older lessons that have been in our system a long time. And as we've changed things along the way, they don't function the way they should. So really that resplit text option is mostly there for that reason. But if you click resplit text, it's going to go through the text automatically again and try to split it by punctuation. And I guess that's mostly for sentence view, so that the chunks of text that appear when you're reading a lesson in sentence view are determined by the text splitter. So if you, for instance, import a song where there's no punctuation, you may end up with a huge block of text as in sentence view. So you may want to come in and try and split it. And that's this option here, show hide sentences. If I show the sentences, this is how the text is split right now. Because this was pulled from Netflix, we actually have timestamps. The timestamps act as the splitting identifier, I guess, split identifier. So if I were to remove a timestamp, these two bits would be grouped together in one sentence. Likewise, if I add a timestamp, I can split sentences, and to this mark end of sentence button at the top allows me to do that. So just this little empty timestamp symbol will mean that there's a split there, so that if I now open this lesson in sentence mode, this will be the first sentence, the next sentence will be to here, and the third sentence would be this hombre lo sé. So hopefully that explains it a little bit. I think you can play around in there, and again, no changes actually take place until you click save. It's a bit of a confusing interface. We realize that. It's, again, like so much in Link, has happened over time and has had to be sort of fit into what was there already. And it's part of the reason why we are working on our new version and hoping to make all of this stuff actually clearer and more easy to use going forward.
Yes, we those of us who have seen it can definitely attest. The importer, the editor, really all of it is going to be much more intuitive and nice to use in the next version. And yes, we did get some feedback that how you explain this makes a lot of sense. So thanks for that, Mark.
I also recommend LingQ's YouTube channel. There are some videos about all this too that are quite clear, and it shows how everything's done one by one without like any lag or Wi-Fi issues. So you can see how it works usually just by watching a couple videos. I mean, Mark was saying too with the timestamps and music, and how sometimes like it depends. Like I always think YouTube is right now the best resource because it has the most content. Like it's just massive, and it comes with audio and transcripts, and those transcripts are timestamped. So if you're importing a song, for example, in YouTube, which I showed you, I had a bunch of Japanese songs, it will take the lyrics or the closed captions. You can put it in, you can watch or go through the lesson on sentence mode, and you can play the audio, and it will be directly it would directly follow that sentence. You'll see that also on the YouTube videos I made. Like there's a YouTube video called how to import BTS music into Link, which essentially shows you how to import music from YouTube into Link. And it's actually really good because you can go through a song sentence by sentence and listen to it sentence by sentence, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is a big advantage, and something that's not really available in most lessons on Link, but the capability is there, and that is if you have timestamps in the lesson and an audio file, then in sentence mode, you'll hear only that sentence of that audio file, which is very helpful. and not the text to speech that you normally get in sentence mode.
Great. So, I mean, Eric, you were sharing, importing different kinds of books. One of our viewers here is saying he read somewhere on the forums that Amazon Kindle books don't work so well with Link. Is that something that you can speak to?
Oh, I actually haven't done Kindle content. Maybe Mark has?
Yeah, I would say Amazon Kindle books seem to be the most difficult to deal with. But again, I feel like it is possible in all languages, with the possible exception of Japanese, to search around and figure out how. Although they make it tough. I mean, they have their DRM in there for a reason. They don't want people to be able to take the ebooks and share them, and in order for us to import them, we need them in a format that is shareable. So it's a bit awkward, but it's at least the last time I did it, I was able to do it. It took a little bit of work, and so if you have a choice to buy your ebook somewhere else, I would recommend that you do that. I know for Italian, where I was buying ebooks, there was a site called, I want to say ibs.it, which had at least the DRM was something else, was Adobe or something. At any rate, it's a bit of effort, unfortunately, because I think books are so great as a source of learning content, and really drove massive vocabulary growth for me in my Italian, because books are relative to TV shows very word dense, and I would find audio books on Audible for which I could find an ebook, and listen to the book on Audible, and import that, buy the book on this ibs.it site, and import it into Link once I removed the DRM, and that was very helpful for me. So again, it's not the easiest, and there may be resources available on Reddit. I haven't looked. I'm not as familiar with Reddit as Eric is, and I haven't looked certainly in for Italian learning. But maybe, hopefully someday we'll have some arrangement with book publishers where we can integrate books into Link and maybe sell them through our platform. But that is a bit of a wish, and not that easy, because books are really kind of awkward. Their rights are per market, and per publisher per market. Like, it's just a horrendous exercise in offering them, it seems. So they need to maybe learn something from the music publishers and make life easier for consumers. Anyway,
I'll also add too, like, you will find a lot of stuff on Reddit. So some people share a lot of content, not saying, whatever is free or paid, whatever, but I found so much stuff on Reddit, it's unbelievable. So just look for Reddit, because as Mark said, take Japanese, for example. When it comes to ebooks and DRMs, we bought ebooks, and there is no way like I could crack the code for the DRM. Even after buying it myself, I searched a long time. No one's been able to do it. But there are sites out there that may or may not share those in text format that you can import. And Reddit has all that, because like I said, they just make it impossible. Even if you purchase the book outright and you own it, it's
not impossible. One of our Link members actually reached out and explained to me how to do it, and I had to have an old version of the Kindle app, which I was able to.
See, there's always a workaround.
And a computer that wouldn't force me, like, it was so old that I couldn't install the newer version, and only there could I then download those Kindle books and remove the DRM and get them into into Link. So there are always workarounds. Again, Google is your friend, and I mean, I prefer to buy ebooks and import them, because we like people to pay for our software. So I think we should pay for the material that we consume. But obviously, the web's a big place, and you can find lots of stuff there. Hopefully, we don't scare people off from doing this, because I have to say that importing books is really a great thing to do.
Right. And a lot of you guys want, the perfect solution for your exact use case. And I think it's really important to just keep in mind that, yes, you might have to do some digging, but also once you have an ebook that works in Link, the great news is that you have an entire book to read. So it's not just going to last you one day or 1 week. It's probably going to last you at least a few weeks. And one of the principles in the Link methodology is to reread and re-listen to your lessons over time. So
that's a good point, Shelby. And to follow up on that, once you figured out how to do it the first time, I mean, if you're learning a language, you're probably not just going to read one book, you're going to read multiple. And so once you have the process down, the second time, it's actually going to be quite quick. And third time and 10th time, and you'll have it down. So it's just the hardest book to import is the first one, depending on your language and what software you have installed and so on. But it's worth the time. It definitely is.
Yeah, definitely. I think that guys, just start with some forums. I'm also going to share the Link forum here in the chat. Reddit, of course, as Eric has been saying, is a huge forum. So just go to some forums and type in keywords, and you're probably going to get a lot of good jumping off points from there. And then you're going to need to dig in, see what you can download, see what you can share in the Link reader. But it's absolutely doable, and hopefully some of these resources were helpful.
Also, I'd like to add that we have a Discord channel that's really helpful with a lot of people talking about resources. I'll share that and on Zoom, and Shelby, if you can share that in the YouTube chat. I would recommend joining the Discord channel too. Lots of people talk about what they're using, what resources they're looking at right now, and it's a good community. So.
Yeah, that's a great point, Eric. Thanks for the reminder on that. So yeah, our Discord is fairly new. We started it up this year, and Eric is doing a great job of moderating that. So that's another platform where you can actually chat with other Link users and ask questions like these, so that you don't have to wait for one of our live streams to ask a question. So I'm sharing that in the chat, and I'm gonna scroll through here and try to see if there were questions that went unanswered. In the meantime, Eric or Mark, did you have other resources or tips that you wanted to cover today?
Link has, the forums are great, as we talked about. That resource list that Shelby shared, that Excel file is really good. The Excel sheet or Google sheet is really good too, because there's a lot of resources. Also, the LingQ Blog has articles that recommend a lot of resources in different languages. So the LingQ Blog is a great place to find how to use Link and where to find content, I would say.
Awesome. That's a really good point as well. I'll share that in the chat too. So yeah, for those of you guys who are, less comfortable with this, I get it. It's definitely a newer way to learn. It's not really like what we did in school, where, we came to class every day and the teacher gave us our lesson plan. With Link, and really with the current age that we're in and the age that we're going into, learning is going to be really self-driven. And so, of course, you guys have a great community here, and we certainly encourage you guys to, search for different forums and see what other people are doing. But yeah, it just takes a little bit of, searching and perseverance. But the fun side of that is that you can really study whatever you want. So once you find something that works for you, you'll be in your groove and you're going to really like it.
And I guess fundamentally, learning a language, it takes time. It takes time, especially if you want to learn it well, and we hope that's what you're here to do. And so, the more interested you are in the content that you're studying, the better you're going to do, because you're actually motivated to understand, and the more motivated you'll be to continue and keep studying it and keep improving. And so motivation is obviously a massive factor in success or failure in language learning, in anything. So that content, in our opinion, and I mean, that's our philosophy of LingQ, content is key. Content is king. I mean, that drives interest, that drives motivation, that will drive you to spend more time with the language. And if you spend the time with the language, you will learn if you do the things we recommend that you do. So that's why we spend so much time focusing on content. That's why we're obviously having this webinar. It is difficult when you start. If you're new to a language, you obviously can't access Netflix shows and news articles. You have to get yourself to that level. But don't spend too long in the beginner content. Like, we have the LingQ mini stories, which we highly recommend. If you're new to a language, spend 3 months on the mini stories alone, or doing mini stories and other beginner content. But after 3 months, you should be starting to dip your toes in the water of the big real content pool. Don't spend too long in the shallow end of the pool. You got to push yourself, get into real native material. It'll spur you on through your interests to do more. It'll push your level. A lot of times people get too conservative and want to stay with material that's too simple for too long, and that actually means you're not progressing as fast as you could be. And your brain will sort things out. Push it. Get into real news articles sooner than later. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, no, that's excellent advice. That's always what I tell users to do. And everyone has questions about how many new words should be in this lesson that I'm studying. It is up to you, but certainly if you're in a comfort zone, you're not advancing, as Mark said. So if you're in a place where you're not understanding a lot of what you're reading, that means that you're growing. Of course, find the happy medium that works for you, but you have to be challenging yourself in order to get to the level that you want to reach. And for something that might be a little bit easier for you guys that I didn't get a chance to share today is music videos. I mean, I import tons of French music videos on LingQ, and then I grab the lyrics from a better resource than the auto-generated captions. But if it's a big enough artist, the lyrics are almost always found in the comments or in the description of the YouTube video. And I find songs are a really fun way to learn a language. So if you're not finding books or other content, this might be an easier way for you to get into sourcing your own content. Because I think everyone loves music, right?
For sure.
Any other parting words before we head off, guys?
Not for me. Hopefully we haven't overwhelmed you. I think just start looking around, start importing stuff. Like anything, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, and the more you'll find your way and find the resources that appeal to you. And that's a big part of our approach is you have to find the material that is interesting to you, that motivates you. and that way you'll spend the time and improve. So it should be, language learning should be enjoyable if you find content that you enjoy, and that's our message. So good luck to you, and don't get frustrated. Ask on the forum, ask us if you have questions. If you can't do something, our members are happy to help. We're happy to help. And before long, you'll figure out how to do things and be on your way. So good luck.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Eric. And thanks to all of you guys. This video is going to stay up on the Link channel as well as the chats too. And I dropped my email in there for any of you guys who have lingering questions. So yeah, let's connect. We'll let you guys know when we're going to do another one of these. And in the meantime, go out there and start sourcing some content.
Great.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.